जी नमस्ते सर, प्रणाम।
हाँ नमस्कार।
जी जी सर, क्या हम शुरू कर सकते हैं आज का सत्र?
हाँ बिल्कुल शुरू करें।
जी धन्यवाद सर। डॉक्टर भारत सर शुरू करें। डॉक्टर भारत सर। डॉक्टर भारत सर।
मैडम आवाज आ रहा है?
आ रहा है सर। जी
ठीक।
शुरुआत करें सर। ओके।
हाँ जी।
वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून सभी आदरणीय गणों को मेरा नमस्कार। सभी आदरणीय गवर्निंग बॉडी मेंबर्स, आदरणीय गुरुजन, आज के सेशन के प्रवक्ता प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर भारत चौरागड़े सर, सभी स्टूडेंट्स और सोशल मीडिया लाइव व्यूअर्स का मैं डॉक्टर पूनम वाजपेयी आरएवी की संपूर्ण टीम की ओर से हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ। Warm welcome to all the viewers in today's 109 session in this webinar series. I also would like to pay sincere gratitude and sincere pranams to our mentor, respected Padma Bhushan Vaidyashi Devendra Trigunaji, President of Governing Body RAV, respected Vaidyashi Manoj Nesigi, Advisor Ayurveda, Ministry of Ayush, respected Dr. Kaustubh Upadhyay Sir, Advisor Ayurveda and current in charge Director of RAV, for extending their great motivation, valuable direction and constant encouragement for successful sustenance of this series. Today, as a guest speaker, we are blessed to have with us respected Professor Dr. Bharat Chaudhary sir from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, and today he would be addressing us on a topic: relevance of Charak Samhita in modern era, which is very crucial aspect to be looked after to meet the needs of society in era of contemporary sciences. Post session in question and answer round, you can raise your queries, doubts, and can share your views as well. अब मैं आदरणीय पद्म भूषण वैद्यश्री देवेंद्र त्रिगुणा सर से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि वे हमें अपने आशीर्वचनों से संबोधित करें। प्रणाम सर।
जी नमस्कार। प्रोफेसर भारत जी।
जी प्रणाम सर।
नमस्कार। आज जो हमारे नए डायरेक्टर ज्वाइन करेंगे, उपाध्याय जी, रामकृष्णन जी, हमारे अपने सारे आरएवी टीम के जो सब लोग हैं, और हमारे गवर्निंग बॉडी के मेंबर्स, गुरुजन, हमारे विद्यार्थी और जो सब लोग इसमें जुड़े हैं, सभी को नमस्कार। और ये जो आरएवी का निरंतर कार्यक्रम चल रहा है, 109वां शायद आज ये है, ये हमारा वेबिनार, मैं आरएवी को बधाई भी देता हूँ। इतना लंबा आरएवी का ये जो वेबिनार चल रहा है, इससे इतने लोगों को बहुत फ़ायदा भी हो रहा है। और आज जो विषय लिया है, मॉडर्न एरा में चरक की रेलेवेंस, तो मुझे लगता है कि चरक की रेलेवेंस तो हमेशा ही रहती है और हमेशा रहेगी, कोई भी एरा हो। जो उसके फंडामेंटल्स हैं चरक के, तो वो हमेशा शास्त्र के मुताबिक उसका सारा उसमें ज्ञान हमको हर एरा में मिलता है। लेकिन फिर भी समय समय पर चरक पे टिप्पणियाँ भी, टीकाएँ भी हुई हैं। अभी आरएवी के माध्यम से उपाध्याय जी ने, बनवारीलाल उपाध्याय जी ने इस पर बड़ी अच्छी टीका की है, वो भी मैंने देखी है। इस प्रकार ये जो आरएवी के माध्यम से हम नए नए टॉपिक्स भी लेकर आ रहे हैं, इससे विद्यार्थियों को, टीचर्स को, हमारे सब चिकित्सक बंधुओं को बहुत इससे फ़ायदा लाभ होगा। मैं आरएवी की गवर्निंग बॉडी के अध्यक्ष के नाते, एक महासम्मेलन के मेंबर होने के नाते, एक वैद्य होने के नाते मैं आरएवी को बधाई देता हूँ। तो इसमें निरंतर हमारे एडवाइजर श्री मनोज नेस्री जी का बहुत, उनका हमको सहयोग मिलता है, और विशेष करके हमारे जो सेक्रेटरी हैं राजेश कोटेचा जी, उनको बहुत प्रेरणा भी मिलती है। वो हमेशा आरएवी के बारे में पूछते भी रहते हैं और काफ़ी मोटिवेट करते हैं, और आरएवी के माध्यम से बहुत कार्यक्रम हो रहे हैं। हमारे जो पूर्व डायरेक्टर थे अनुपम श्रीवास्तव जी, उन्होंने इसमें बहुत मेहनत की, बहुत काम किया, काफ़ी एमओयू वगैरह कराए हैं, उसका परिणाम देखने को मिल रहा है। अब जो नए डायरेक्टर चार्ज लेंगे उपाध्याय जी, मैं चाहूँगा कि वो और कड़ी मेहनत से काम करके आरएवी के माध्यम से सब जगह इसको, देश में, पूरे विश्व में, इन सारी सब चीज़ों को आगे लेके जाएं, तभी हम इस पे विद्यार्थी को अच्छा कर पाएंगे, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। मैं पुनः आरएवी के सब लोगों को, हमारी जो पूरी टीम है, और रामकृष्ण जी को, सबको बधाई देता हूँ कि आप इसमें लगे हुए हैं, और इसको आरएवी को हम और नई ऊंचाइयों पर लेके जाएंगे, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। जय हिंद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर आपके बहुमूल्य संबोधन के लिए, और आपका आशीर्वाद हम सब पर यूं ही बना रहे। अब मैं आज के हमारे गेस्ट स्पीकर रिस्पेक्टेड प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर भारत चौरागड़े सर, इनका ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन शेयर करना चाहूँगी। सर इज प्रेजेंटली सर्विंग एज प्रिंसिपल एंड CMS and also head of Sahita Siddhant Department at Shri Sai Institute of Ayurvedic Research and Medicine, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Sir is also consulting Ayurveda physician for lifestyle disorders and customized lifestyle and diet planner also. He does counseling and personality refinement as well. Sir is principal investigator at Ayush Ministry sponsored PHI project on diabetes mellitus worth rupees 1.5 crore at New Delhi. He is also executive director at CSV Gurugram India and chairman of DRI EAMS Central India. Director of Ojas Academia at Bhopal, Secretary of Trisutriya Ayurved Parishad Mumbai. He is also coordinator of Quantum Kitchen Project Haryana and Director of Consultancy Services for Research in Ayurveda. Sir is also Research Associate at DSVV Haridwar and founder editor of Journal of ISM at DMIMS Varda, Maharashtra. He is also ex-institutional committee scientific member Ayurveda. Sir has guided more than 35 PG students and more than 5 PhD scholars. He has presented more than 15 papers at national and international conferences and published more than 25 papers. Now, I would like to request Professor Bharat Chauragade sir to please proceed this session. Over to you, sir, and welcome.
Madam, my voice is clear.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, okay. सभी गुरुजनों को मेरा सादर प्रणाम, सभी विद्यार्थियों को नमस्ते. Now I will be starting with my presentation. As Padma Bhushan Devendraji Triguna said, the relevance of Charak Samhita was there, is there, and will be there. It is absolutely correct. And why I have chosen this topic? Because as on date, I have seen that the Charak Samhita is very important Samhita, and day by day, as I am looking into the medical aspect of it or the applied aspect of it, I am seeing that the relevance of the Charak Samhita is increasing day by day. And whatever things were enumerated in the Charak Samhita, they are found to be absolutely true in the present area. So this is the brief line, and I will be presenting my presentation in these aspects from a different viewpoint. Madam, my shares slide is visible.
Not yet, sir. Please share it.
Now
Yes,
it
displayed, sir.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes. Please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
So, yeah. I always call this Ayurvedasya Bhushanam Charak, Acharya Charak as Ayurveda Bhushanam. And as you know very well, whatever thing is enumerated in the Charak Samhita, it is there in the universe, and whatever is there in the universe, it is there in the Charak Samhita. Now, this is a very bold statement which is given in the Charak Samhita, which states its universality. Now, before we now, as you see, my title, that is the relevance of this Charaka Samhita in the modern era. Now, there are two terms, that is the Charaka Samhita and the modern era. I am just wanting to bring those two terms together. Now, as per the WHO statistics which are given in 2019, because from 2020 we experienced a COVID pandemic, and the situation thereafter is known to one and all. Now, my contention here is to just highlight what are those problems which were highlighted till 2019, and the leading cause, if you see this statistics by the WHO in 2009, ischemic heart disease, it remains number one killer, followed by stroke and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. So if you see that at the global level, 7 of the 10 leading causes of the death in 2019 were due to non-communicable diseases. Now, this is a very important point to understand, that in the modern era, we have overcome with the infectious diseases, but ultimately we are falling prey for the non-communicable diseases. Now, my topic relies on these non-communicable diseases and how the principles given in the Charak Samhita, they may be of use in compacting these non-communicable diseases. So the statistics very clearly says that these 7 causes accounted for 44% of all deaths, or 80% of the top 10, or we can say that is the 74% of the deaths globally, they are due to non-communicable diseases. So this remains a very alarming problem as on date also. Now, if you look at the Indian scenario particularly, now in Indian scenario also, we can see that there are top 10 causes of death. Again, coronary heart disease, lung disease, stroke, influenza, pneumonia, tuberculosis, And diabetes, they remain are again very major problem, means they are on the top. And suppose if you look at the cancer, so there is a wide variety of cancers which are prevailing in India. And if we see the infectious diseases, there are tuberculosis, meningitis, measles, dengue, diarrheal diseases, encephalitis, HIV, all those things are also there. So if you see the scenario in Indian health also, the non-communicable diseases, they are playing a very vital role and very important role, and this is creating an additional health burden on the ministry, because we have to spend lot of funds for maintenance of this health. Now, as you know, this Ayurveda has an edge over the other systems of medicine. Why? Because Ayurveda prophesizes on the prevention aspect more than the curative aspect. So that is the beautiful thing which Ayurveda has. I was going through the latest statistics in 2022. Again, if you see the statistics, the 10 dangerous, deadliest diseases or critical illnesses in India, again points out the cardiovascular diseases remains number one. And if you see, the diabetes is slowly progressing in the upward direction. It is needless to say, as you know all, the diabetes is going to become, means India is going to become a diabetic capital for the world. So this is very alarming, and every fifth Indian would be a diabetic person by 2030 or latest by 2040. So if you see in about a decade, the diabetes will be a very big problem for a country like India. And if you see if you compare this 2009-2019 scenario, the number one killer is, it was in 2009 also ischemic heart disease. In 2019 it is same. But if you see, the COPD has rise to number two, stroke to number three, and now if you see, the diabetes was at 11th number, now it has gone to number 8. So these are the alarming signs which is showing that the trend of the diseases in as we are advancing, the trend of the diseases is going, or it is more focused towards the non-communicable diseases rather than the communicable diseases. So this is my focal point of discussion. Now, if we see the top non-disease causes, then these are the different India, how India is ranking in this in the non-disease causes. Non-disease causes. See, for example, birth trauma, drowning, falls, fires, suicide, violence, and all other things. So, if you include those, even though poisoning becomes, this is number one. If you see this, it is 94% of the time it is poisoning. So again, that is also one of the important things which I need to address to the gathering of these Vaidyas. Now, when we see the typical learning style, if you see the typical learning style in the particularly because I am a teacher from past 25 years. So, if you see the learning pyramid, now this learning pyramid previously it was only lecture, then it was followed by reading, and hardly there were audiovisual in those times when we were the students. Now, as we have developed a lot, and the information technology has grown a lot, so we have now ICT enabled classrooms. So the perception, the audiovisual has increased this perception to a dual fold, and now the demonstration, discussion, and practice by doing 75% and teaching others becomes 90%. Why I am demonstrating this? Because the NCI has taken a very good step, and now as per the new transitional curriculum, which we find very beautifully prepared, and in that case the interactive teaching or the non-lecture hours component, it is more than the didactic component, which was previously only didactic component. So the for better perception, now this type of learning module is very important. Now if you see the teacher, if you see here the teacher and the student, and if you see the teaching, the teacher is teaching a subject matter as he is expertise in that, so he is teaching the subject matter, the student is learning that subject matter, and this triangle, it needs to be rectified and it is to be modernized as per the learning parameter. Now, how to learn Charak Samhita? Because most of the time, the people, they are fed up with looking at the Charak Samhita. The student, they don't find it very interesting. Why? Because there are no figures. It is not colorfully presented. So these are all the things which I have observed over a period of from 2 decades. I am observing that why the people, they are not attracted towards that. So I found many reasons for that, and based on those later, I just conclude that the learning of especially Charak Samhita, especially the Charak Samhita, or for that matter Ayurveda in other words, I can say, this should be done on, not only on the basis of the remembrance, understanding, analyzing, apply, evaluate and create. So creation is one of the most important thing. See, you have gone through the sutras and you need to create some different modules for the society, for the benefit of the society. So creation is something which is at the apex of the triangle, and this is not so easy. So generally a student of the Ayurveda, he is in the stage of remembering or understanding. Hardly he is able to analyze the things, and application, evaluation and creation remains a big question for the present student. That is the reason why I have added these two slides, just to give the glimpses that Charak Samhita cannot be read in a casual way. It is a text of the Ayurveda, not only Charak Samhita. When I am saying Samhita, it means all the Samhitas which are there in the Ayurveda. Now, why world is looking at the Ayurveda? What world is expecting from Ayurveda? As you know very well, this Ayurveda, the approach of the treatment is is wonderful in Ayurveda. There are Ayurveda courses for the Western people, so they are attracted towards the courses. We have established the chairs, as you know very well. The Ministry of Ayush is taking all the efforts to bring this Ayurveda to the world, and Ayurvedic herbal products, they are increasing, the market is increasing, and the most important thing is healing body, mind and soul. This is one of the important thing which is developing and flourishing in the Western world. Now, why I say that Ayurveda, what is Ayurveda? The meaning of the life is to give life a meaning. That is the beautiful statement which I feel that Ayurveda gives life a meaning. So the meaning is being given to the life by Ayurveda. Now, I will be concentrating only on few of the sutras, because it is not possible for me to demonstrate or to tell the relevance of the Charak Samhita in a matter of 45 to 1 hour. 1 hour. So I will be highlighting only on those sutras where actually these sutras, they are not being taught in a routine class, or it is casually being taught in the routine class. So I am highlighting only on only on those few sutras. Now, the Charak in the first chapter, that is Dirgham Dviti Adhyay, he says at this verse is 15th verse, Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam Arogyam Moolam. Now he has given a very beautiful sloka where we say that ki Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha. Now these are the four pathways to attain moksha. But to attain this moksha, this four-way pathway should be crossed. But how we can achieve this? We can achieve this only arogyam moolam uttamam. So arogya is something which is required, and as I am telling you that for attending the moksha, for attending the liberation, you need arogya, and arogya can be granted only by Ayurveda, and hence if we say that Ayurveda is a Panchama Veda. It is a Pancham Veda. Why we say that? It is one of the reason which I could find is it is a Pancham Veda because it gives Arogya, and this Arogya is a mool for getting the moksha. Now, I'm trying to explain this in a different way. Now, suppose if you see the Kama, that is the vital value which which we understand in today's world. That is, Kama is a vital value, and if what is that? It is the physiological consciousness which we have and the safety consciousness which we have. Now these two and the ego which is developed out of that, that becomes the calm. And what is the economic value? That is the love and belongingness consciousness we have, self-esteem consciousness we have. That is the economic value, that is the earth which we are having. And over and above that, if we go, that is the moral value, which is the most important thing. That is the intellect, that is the self-actualization and consciousness. That is the most important thing, and therefore it was very rightly placed at place one. That is dharma, artha, kam, and then moksha. And then, of course, when we transcended the consciousness, we attain the moksha, and that is what is the external value. So, in order to whether this has any clinical implication or not, so I thought that this is the one sutra which is having clinical implication. Suppose if we follow the dharma, means what is dharma? Doing right thing in a right way at right time. This is what I contemplate. that dharma is very important for us to understand. So if we don't make mistakes, if we understand the principles of the Ayurveda, if we follow the golden rules of the Ayurveda, definitely we are going to achieve the arogya. And once we have the arogya, we can definitely achieve the moksha, which is the purpose of the life on this earth. So if we see the commentary by Shankaracharya, he says, he, when you are born as a human being, this is a golden chance for you to get liberated. And over and above that, he has given certain criteria. See, when you achieve and when you understand the complete knowledge and the real jnana about Atman, about the Brahman, this is what is going to make you free for free or liberate yourself from the birth death cycle. So this look is very very important, and I have seen that the as we have seen in the previous slide, the coronary artery disease, the ischemic heart disease, all those things, they come only because of the non performance of the dharma. So as we are not particular about the dharma, as we are not taking the healthy tips which is given in the Ayurveda, there, that is the reason and why we are falling into that non-communicable diseases, and easily we are not and our health is gone. So this is my this slok, as I could understand, is very very important, and it should not be a casual presentation in the study of the Charaka Samhita. So that is the reason why I presented this Dharmartha Kama Ucharam Arogyam Bodhamuktam. Now another sutra which was given in the Charaka, which is given in the Charaka Samhita at number 42, that is Sharirendriya Sattvatma Sanyoge Dhari Jivitam Nityang Anubandhasya Paryay Ayur Uchyati. Now, as again I have thought of this slok in a different way. Now this particular slok, it defines what Ayu means, and he has very beautifully given the four important components, that is the Sharir, Indriya, Sattva and Atma. These are the four components. And if you see very scientific, if you see very scientifically, now he has given the description of the Ayu from the gross to subtlest of subtlety. Now if you see the sharir or the physical body or the corporeal sector, it is having means it is being described at the gross level. You can see the sharir, but the indriyas, the sattva and the atma, they are the subtler things, and they cannot be visualized by an individual eye. So if we see, it is from macroscopic to microscopic, or the world of visible to world of invisible thing. So very beautifully he has described. And here I just want to emphasize that it is not the physical world where we are seeing the disease. Means, suppose if a person is getting a disease in the liver, no doubt the liver is involved in that and the function of the liver is clearing. But what I am trying to tell you is that, or what I am trying to understand from this context is that it is the signaling, the signal which is being received to this liver, that is being received from the pranamaya kosh, or that is being received from the subtler kosh, and if we correct those things, the right signal will be given to it, and definitely the anatomical physiological changes is the basic or normal anatomy or physiology can be restored, and the pathology can be converted into physiology. So again, I call this as a quantum science or energy science. Okay. Now, if you see this sharir, again everybody knows that it is a composition of dosha, dhatu and man. Nothing new I am telling. Nothing new I am telling. The only thing is that what we contemplate these doshas, these dhatus and man. So as you know, the doshas are the most important elements in the body, and I call these doshas. They are not some physical entities, but according to me, as I contemplate uh, deep into that, I could reveal that these are the energy molecules in the body. They are the energy molecules in the body, and therefore, if we are, if these energies are being maintained, if the energies are being maintained, then definitely we can achieve the health, which is the prime concern in the modern era. Now, as a as I've given you, these are the modern, these are the energy molecules. So basically, what Ayurveda is just not a method of treatment. It is the energy management system. I would call this as the energy management system, EMS. That is the new term which I have already I have given this. Why? Because I have understood that the things which are happening inside the body, they are such a subtle things they are happening that we may not be able to understand. And as you know, even though we are living in the era of very developed science and technology, still many things we have not understood in this world. But therefore, the basic thing which I could understand is this Vata, Pitta and Kapha. They are the energy molecules, and they involve different types of energy which is to be regulated by different measures, as I will be enumerating in my further slides. Yeah, how we can manage this energy, and how we can maintain our health through Charaka Samhita. Now, these are the seven dhatus and three malas. Why I have given this particular picture? Because see, if the doshas are being maintained, definitely the dhatus will be maintained and corresponding mal will be maintained. Now this is very important. See, there is another view in Ayurveda that we were supposed to examine the mal. So previously, in the period of Charak and Shushruta, in those kal, we used to examine the mal. We don't used to examine the dhatus actually. Although dhatu examination, the quality of the dhatu, it has been emphasized in Ayurveda. I would now say that it has not been enumerated in Ayurveda, but the malas were examined, and looking at the vikruti in the mala, the type of the disorders where they were being decided, and all those things. If you see, the Agni remains the core area of their thinking. So this is the thing which I just want to highlight. And therefore, if you maintain the dhatu, because I am seeing when I look at the patient, the dhatus are very easily depleted. Even in the students who are young, they are just 17 or 18 years. I can see that the dhatu they have the impairment of the dhatus. So this is one of the most important area, as on date. That is the reason why I have emphasized, why I have put this slide. Now the classical slok by Samadosha Samaganisha Samadhatu Malkriyaha Prasannatmendriyani Manaswasthetyoti. Now here Acharya Shushruta, he has maintained 38 health determinants. So suppose if you calculate, there are 38 factors which he has given. A detailed description of this is given in just 2 lines, and the first line talks about the physical aspect, and the second line is Prasannatmendriyani Manaha. That is the thing which I was talking about. That is the invisible world or subtle world which is having a great influence on the physical world. So, as a student of the Ayurveda, as a practitioner of the Ayurveda, as a teacher of Ayurveda, what I propose is that the second aspect is also very important, and it must be focused upon, and it must not be only focused, but it should be being to the practice also, that this thing should be given to the patient, and you should see to it that just by physical correction the things will not come true, because ultimately it is the correction should come from inside, not from the outside. So I am proposing, means it is very humble request to all the participants that you just think on this also. And as we say, the holistic approach, it is very clearly it is given. The physical things are taken into consideration, the emotional things are taken into consideration, the social and the mental aspect, and the spiritual aspect. All those aspects, that is the holistic approach was there in Ayurveda since its beginning. So Ayurveda is having a holistic approach since its beginning. Now, the most important factor is Agni, as I have told you, and therefore I always call this Ayurveda that if the ultimate thing is to balance the Agni. So suppose if the Agni of the person is some, or if we say it is a some Agni or a balanced Agni, naturally whatever things are being circulated in the body, they will not get deposited, and they will not got any type of Sruto Avro. And if there is no Sruto Avro, definitely no good, it is clear that in this stage, if there is no Sruta, definitely the chances of getting diseases, it will be very less. So as we see, in case of the ischemic heart disease, or for that matter any cardiac disorders, coronary artery disease, the most important problem is this Sruta. The most important problem is Sruta. And why it is happening only because of the either of the three Agni, that is the Vishamagni, and the Mandagni. These are the two Agnis which is going to bring those changes, and it would lead to the deposition in the endothelium, and then there it will lead to plaque formation, obstruction, and all those things will happen. Means if you see that Agni plays a very important role, and Vagbhata has very beautifully described Ushmano Alpa Balatvena Dhatum Adhyam Apachitam Tustam Avashaya Gatam Rasamam Amam Prachakshate. How beautifully he has explained in this verse. In single verse, he has given you the entire verse. Sarve Roga Api Mandaguno is very well known. Means if each and every rogue comes only because of the Mandagni. And Ayurveda professes on Agni Chikitsa, and that is the reason why Kai Chikitsa word is formed. So, if you see, the Agni is the core of the human body, and therefore, in order to maintain, if you see the clinical state, it is the balanced Agni, the irregular type of Agni, the sharp Agni, or the slow or dull Agni, that is Mandagni. And if you see the associated dosha, all of you know what is that. The most important point is that the metabolic expression, that is the most important thing which I just want to highlight. That is the balanced metabolism is there in case of Samagni. The irregular metabolism occurs in case of Vishamagni, and hyper and hypometabolism occurs in case of the Tikshna and the Man Agni respectively. So the metabolism, if it is disturbed, definitely there it will lead to the formation of the intermediates, and it will lead to the formation of those substances which are not absorbed into the body, and they remain in the body as toxins. And these toxins over a period of time, they create, means they destroy the cells, and they destroy the healthy tissues of the body, thereby creating the diseases inside the body. And when these things are happening progressively, you get the disease which you get is non-communicable disease. So this is the most important thing which you should remember, and I propose that Agni is the core of all those things. Now, another important thing which I was looking, that is the term circadian. Now this we talk a lot of things, and lot of research and lot of papers are being I have reviewed on the circadian. Now this circadian means it is round a day. Now Ayurveda has also given three dosha clock. Now we can say that this three dosha clock and the circadian clock, now these two things, it can be superimposed, and the interface between these two is Agni. Now this is very important to understand. Now on one hand we have the three doshas, as I have told you, and another the modern view says about the circadian rhythm. If you see these two things, so there is a blue belt and there is a red belt. Now the red belt, it enumerates the active phase wherein we are active, and the deep blue or light blue, it is that phase in which we are uh, not very much active. But now if you see this circadian rhythm cycle, and that this has the people in the modern era, they have changed this circadian, or they are changing the circadian rhythm. Now due to this, what will happen? Now if the thing exists, what will happen? So if you see very carefully, there is the at 6 a.m. and if you see, there is a release of the cortisol. There is a release of the cortisol. Now, as we know, we always call this cortisol as a bad hormone, as stress hormone, and melatonin is secreted in the just before the midnight. So, if you see these two hormones, that is the cortisol and the melatonin, these two hormones, they play very important role in the sleep awake cycle. In the sleep awake cycle. Now, if uh, if it is to be superimposed on the circadian rhythm, you can see that we have the variations, diurnal variations of the three doshas. See, for example, when we say the vata dosh, it is the vata dosh is more in case from 2 to 6 p.m. and in night, that is from early night to early morning, that is midnight to early morning, that is 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Similarly, if you see pitta, it is 10 to 2 and 10 to 2 in the morning as well as in day. And suppose if you say about the kapha, it is 6 to 10 and 6 to 10 in the night. Now just see, if why the modern people, they give the tablet of the blood pressure, they always say that you take the tablet of the blood pressure early in the morning, that is at around 8. Why? Because if you see the cortisol release, because of this cortisol release, there is a fastest increase in the blood pressure. So if you see, fastest increase in the blood pressure occurs at 8 a.m. And if you see on the other side, highest blood pressure of the body in 24 hours, it is after 7 between 6 to 12 in the night. So if you see the cycle means how the changes are occurring inside the body and how to combat these changes. This is the most important thing which we can do it on the basis of doshas also in the Ayurveda. So therefore I call this, because ultimately if you see the entire thing, the body has around 50 hormones. The body is having more than 50 hormones, but if you see, we understand this, the endocrine system, the nervous system, they are working in coordination with each other. And the coordinator, best coordinator of this is the Vata. As you can see, it is very well enumerated in case of Vata Kalakali Adhyaya in the that is the 12th chapter of the Charaka Samhita. So I just want to highlight here that circadian rhythm is also very important, and this clock, we are trying to change this clock, ultimately leading to disasters in the body, and ultimately we are falling prey of the metabolic disorders, which is the basic problem in the society as on date. Now, as I've told you, now what is the role of the cortisol? Now we understand this as the stress hormone, but you should realize that it helps in regulating your body's stress response. So body's stress response can be regulated by cortisol. Now the it also helps your body to usage of the fat, proteins and carbohydrate or your metabolism. It also controls that. Means that is the most important thing which you should understand. It suppresses the inflammation, it regulates blood pressure, helps blood sugar, and it also controls your sleep awake cycle. So these are some of the points which are beneficial points for us, and they will definitely help you to understand, and they will definitely help you to regulate all those problems which I have already highlighted in my statistical presentation. Similarly, if you see the melatonin, this melatonin is also a very important hormone. It is having a very influential role on regulation of the sleep cycle. This is very important. Now, suppose if we are shifting our sleep time in the midnight, or most of the times I have seen the patients who are reporting to me, for especially for the lifestyle disorders, they are I have seen that their dinacharya is somewhat disturbed. It is not only disturbed, it is very, it is something which is very of bizarre pattern. Means this is very important to understand, because we never guide patient on those lifestyle. The people, they believe that only tablets, they will solve your problem. No, the tablet is not going to solve your problem unless and until you correct your lifestyle. And why you should correct? This is the depiction which I am giving. That Charak Samhita is not a non-scientific text. It is not a thing which is to be read in the form of a novel. It is a very scientific, and we need a very different temperament to understand Charak Samhita. It is very difficult test to understand in the Ayurveda. So I always say that when I started my career in 2000, then I used to say to students that I have understood Charak Samhita to an extent of 80%, 80 to 90%. As I progressed, and I have taken deep into the Charak Samhita, I could say that now I have understood Charak Samhita only to an extent of 3 to 5%, not more than that. Because every time I read Charak Samhita, I find it in a different way, and something new clicks to my mind. So you should have a knowledge not only of Charak Samhita, as I've told you, but also the modern physiology is also very important. Now again, if you see, it plays very important role in regulating female menstrual cycle. Now just see, the females, they are having PCOD and PCOS. Now these two things are also flourishing. Again, we say that this is lifestyle disorder. Now why? Because this melatonin hormone, it is controlling on that, and melatonin is secreted in the night. Means it is basically it is regulating the menstrual cycle of the female. Now melatonin also is having some significant effect in the circadian rhythms and integrating photoperiod. So as I have told you, it is very important, the photoperiod, that is the light and the dark period, that is which is being managed by this melatonin. Now it is having a very significant role in reproduction, and not only reproduction. The most important point which I would like to highlight here is it is body's natural pacemaker and play a very instrumental role in signaling time of the day and time of the year, helping to regulate your body's internal clock. So just see, the hormones, how we disturb this hormone, and whether it has been given any, means anything has been given in the Ayurveda. So in the slides to come, I will be describing about how this is being described in Ayurveda very well. Now, coming to the prayojan of the Ayurveda. Now, I always say that prayojan, again there is a confusion. Actually, there is no confusion. But when I teach my student, I always say Karyam Dhatu Samya. That is the best prayojan Ayurveda has given in the very first chapter. And prayojanam chasya swastasya swastarakshanam aturasya vikaram prashamanam cha. It is given in the last chapter of the Ayurveda. So I always say that for in today's scenario, this karyam dhatu samya uchyate, dhatu samya kriya choktaha tantra. So bringing imbalance thing to the balance stage, that is the most important prayojan of the Ayurveda as on date, because if you see the lifestyle, if you see the way the people they are living, the way the people they are eating, what type of food they are eating, what type of activities they are doing, all those things, if you calculate, then you will see that these activities will definitely imbalance the three doshas or the energy molecules in the body. And if the energy molecules are being imbalanced, they will send wrong signals to the physical organs, and thereby it is disrupting the entire working of the physical organ. So that is my very that is the precise understanding about the Ayurveda. And here I would like to quote Benjamin Franklin's quote: "A ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." So very beautifully said. So, and Ayurveda always say that it is talking about samya, dhatu samya. Here, if you see the word, very important, dhatu samya. So, samyata, imbalance, is to be converted into balance. That is what is the thing which is needed as on date, and we can give a very little. Now, when we look at the principles of the healthy life, now I am coming to my topic actually, that principles of the healthy living in Ayurveda. If you see the principles of healthy living in Ayurveda, now this is everything. Here, you note one thing. I have not given anything related to the chikitsa. Although Charak is the best treatise in this world for doing the chikitsa. We call this as the best treatise in this world for chikitsa. But if you see here, I have not written anything related to chikitsa, but ultimately all those things which I have enumerated, they ultimately will lead to the chikitsa. So if you want to bring a holistic chikitsa, then only your drugs will work. Otherwise, what will happen? The temporary means the when you are taking the medicines, you will be happy, and once you stop taking the medicine, again the things will get proliferated. Now this is what is the scenario in the current practice. We are looking into it, that the patients, they are not ready. The patient does not have patience. The patient, they are not ready to cooperate. The patient, they want that the medicine alone should correct, and they are not ready to change themselves. So this type of vritti will not help a person to become healthy forever in his life. So in order to become healthy, now these principles are to be adopted, and the sequence also, it has been changed. You see, the first is Sadavritta, followed by Achar Rasayan, then Ritucharya, Dincharya, Yoga, Sanskar, Mokshupaya, Dharaniya, Dharmik. So these are some of the key points which I will be talking about. I will not be giving you any formulations. What are those formulations? Because you better know what type of formulations you are using in the clinical practices, that you know. So I am touching some different aspect on that. So if you remember, as I have told you, why I have shown you the pyramid of learning, because Sadavritta is given in each and every chapter of the Charak Samhita. If you remember that Sadavritta is being given in the last. So why I just thought, why Sadavritta everywhere it is given? And if you suppose if you go through the Indriyopakramni Adhyay, that is a very beautiful chapter which is giving everywhere the Sadavritta in different aspects it is being given. So does it matter? So then I thought. So here when I compare this Sadavritta, I would like to tell you something which I experienced. Now, if you see the balance of the Sattva, Raja and Tam, now this balance of Sattva, I call this as SRT axis. Now, what is Sattva, Raja and Tam? So, what I define this as, it is, now Tam means it is the retarding force or it is the negative force, means when the impulse is being retarded. Raja means when the impulse, the discharge of the impulse is being increased, or it has, means it is an impulsive impulse. I can say that. And what is sattva? It is a balancing impulse. Now again, as I have told you, now these three sattva, raja, and tam, they govern the energy molecules of the body. That is the vata, pitta, and kapha, and they govern through a energy system. Through energy system, they are governed. So, in case of this Sadhavritta, I have seen that the neuroendocrinal axis, that is the neuroendocrinal axis, or for that matter, the pituitary hypothyroid axis, now that has something deviation. So, if you practice this Sadhavritta, if you practice the Achara Rasayan, I will be telling you something about Achara Rasayan also, and whatever thing I have learned in my life, I will be delivering that also. So let us try to see whether the Sadhavritta is the code of conduct is being practiced in only Ayurveda or the other medicines also adopt the same thing. So if you see Sadhavritta, the meaning I will not go through the meaning because all of you know what exactly it means. I will be highlighting only on the key points. That is the ethical consideration. That is the Vyavharika Sadhavritta, Samajika Sadhavritta, Manasik Sadhavritta, Dharmic Sadhavritta, and Sharirik Sadhavritta. Now, even if you counsel, even if you do the counseling in these aspects, because I have seen many students, they are depressed, they don't understand, they are confused. So they don't understand actually why, because they are totally confused, because they are indulge in all types of viruddha ahar, all viruddha vihar they are indulge, and therefore the question of sadvrutta, and how can you expect that they will behave properly, they will follow the code of conduct? No, it is not expected from them. So as a student, I always say that I am a student of the Charak Samhita. So Charak Samhita, when I'm teaching the Charak Samhita to the students, I am teaching them how this has to be brought into the practice. See, unless until yesterday only I got a phone call from my student, and she is a newly admitted student, and she was telling me, sir, I don't think that I will be able to overcome with the Padarth Vijnana, Charaka Samhita, Ashtanga Hridaya, and all Sanskrit. So I immediately realized that, see, this is the negative impulse. This is the negative impulse which is coming inside the mind of a new entrant. Why? Because these people, they don't understand the relevance of this Charaka Samhita, relevance of the Sutra. This thing has to be taught. Therefore, the duty of the uh, people belonging to Samhita Siddhant is much more. I should say it is much more to make students understand and convince them that this is a scientific deliberation. It is not something which is to be by hearted just. So that is the most important thing which I should. So this is Sadhavutta and Ayurveda, you know very well. Now this is simply I have given you just to understand what are ethical conducts. What is that? See, I have the ethical conduct, that is it should have control over emotion. The example just now I have given. So now you see anger, jealousy, anxiety, all those things will come if you don't have this ethical consideration. Now when I'm talking about the social conduct, it is very I really fail to understand. A person has only two friends in his physical life, means in his real life, and he is having followers, 5,000 followers on his Facebook. So this is you should understand at what level you are residing in this society. So you don't have two people to whom you can share, to whom you can think, and to whom you can talk, but you have everyone on the social media. So I'm not blaming the social media, I'm just talking about that. Socially you should connect it, you should have the connection also. This is, see, we live in the apartments, है and very commonly means if you ask your neighbor to give some detail about yourself, so he will simply say, we don't know who is residing in our society. So what kind of social acquaintance we are having as on date, just imagine. And if you go to the village, even a wandering boy also will be able to tell you this person is residing here. So the kind of social relationship which we have, that is to be taken care of. Now when it comes to mental conduct, now here the problem will come. Here the problem comes. The real problem is here. See, because you are here, Many things are given in the Charak Samhita. Suppose if you see the Manasik Prakriti, everything is described, how the human being behave and how the wrong signaling system it is initiated into the mind of the person, and therefore if you see the hormones, they create the disruptions in the body. So more of the sympathetic activity is being promoted and less of the parasympathetic activity is being promoted, and hence therefore you should have a control on this mental cause. Now moral conduct is another very important thing, because if you know the morality or the dharma, as I enumerated, dharmartha kama mokshanam arogyam bulumuttamam, if the moral conduct is correct, if you are morally, if you are good, definitely you are going to get less type of. So all those points, physical conduct, this physical conduct is also very important. See, nowadays we are ignoring all this also. I have seen many children, they are not taking bath regularly, they are not following the code of conduct which are being given, and these have scientific. So dinacharya is not something which is a cosmetic ritual which we are doing and which we are following. No, it is having a scientific derivation amount. Only one or two things I am going to explain just because of the lack of the time. So now this is just to show that the Indian Medical Council, that is the Professional Conduct Etiquettes and Ethics Regulation 2002, it was framed and it was notified in the Gazette on 6th of April 2000, 11th of March 2002. So even they, if you see, they have say 8 chapters, and these 8 chapters, if you go through this, wonderfully they have written all those things. So not only this, that the Indian Medical Council is following this, even the Western Medical Council, the American Medical Association Code of Conduct also I have gone through, and if you see, again they are having these chapters, and these chapters, if you see, there are 11 chapters, and all these aspects of the Sadhurta, they are being enumerated in this also. So why Charak was telling everything about this Sadhurta at the end of the chapter, I could understand that, because ultimately this is the bombarding, this is repeatedly hammering of the Sadhurta, that is very very important for you to follow, and that is the reason. Otherwise what happened, if he would have written this Sadhurta in only one chapter, probably we may have missed that chapter, as we are taking the Charak Samhita very casually. My contention is very clear that Charak Samhita is very scientifically prepared Samhita, and just I am exploring one or two facts out of that. Then the second point about, after Sadhvrta was Achar Rasayan. Now why this Achar Rasayan? I am not going to go in deep of all those things. Suppose if I am saying just one or two things, just why Satyavadi? Why Satyavadi? Why? Because if you are follower of the truth, if you are follower of the Satya, then your HPA axis will be balanced, your SRT axis will be balanced. Why? Because you don't have anything. Suppose if I am telling, if I am doing anything wrong, then only I am having fever and fear. And when I am having the fever, definitely my hormones will go, because as I have told you, the cortisol will be secreted, the bad hormones will be secreted, and the good hormones will not get secreted. And therefore, this will have corresponding effect on the physical organs of the body. Namely, to state is the heart is the most important organ which is being affected by this. So, Satyavadi, Krodh Rahit, Vyasan Rahit, Ahinsak, what is this? These all are those things which are to be practiced on daily basis. They have to be enthused in the students. Why? Because if these factors are being enthused into the students, then definitely a new dimension will be created in the mind set of the student, and definitely you will be able to get something which is new. Why Dharma Shastra Adhyan? Why Swadhyay is important? It is important because repeatedly the same things are being told in a different way, just to have a glimpses of those things for better comprehension. So if you see, these things are very very important for you to understand. This Achar Rasayan is very beautifully enumerated in Rasayan part. Now, what we say in this Rasayan Sevan means what? The Nidra, Tandra, Alasya, these what with the cup. See, again the same thing. Why? This is balancing of the energy, balancing of the energy. Agni, again there is the balancing of the energy. Okay. So if you see the importance that the Rasayan therapy is the most important therapy Ayurveda has. Otherwise, what was the need of giving this Rasayana Pada and Vajikarana Padi before starting the Chikitsa Pada? And you see, how many of the practitioners of Ayurveda, I have seen that most of the practitioners of the Ayurveda, they ignore the Rasayan and the Vajikaran part. And as you saw, everyone means I have fixed that the first phase of the life, that is from first to 25 years, 25 to 50 years, 51 to 75, 75 to 100 years. So if you divide these four phases in the life and four ashrams in the life, then you see the Rasayan path is also divided into char pathas. So there are, then if you see this Rasayan is very important, and I always in my practice I always give Rasayan therapy first, Bajing current therapy. These two therapies they are to be given first, because unless and until you give these corrective measures and if you do the thorough counseling of the patient, then and then only you will be able to treat the patient, especially for the non-communicable diseases. My humble request to audience that you should understand this very effectively. Now, Dinacharya and Ritucharya, I am not going to talk about Dinacharya, Ritucharya. All of you know what Dinacharya, Ritucharya is. Now, Ritucharya is very much correlate. You can correlate Ritucharya with that of the festivals. So, India is a country of festivals. India is a country of festivals. Means what? Why these things are coming now? You see, the Ganesh Chaturthi. If you see the Ganesh Chaturthi, yesterday only the Ganesh Chaturthi started, and then we start. Just see the type of that, because before Ganesh Chaturthi there was Shravana Mas, and in the Shravana Mas we were supposed to keep uh, our means the diet should be very less, or at least you should miss the dinner. That is what is being told. But now if see, once you have done this 1 month fasting, just to bring the doshas to the normalcy, just to keep yourself energetic, definitely now you are going to get, or now you are eating the nutritious. So now if you see, the as with the advent of the Ganesh festival, now we will start eating good food. And now as you see, there is a transition phase between the Varsha Ritu and the Sharad Ritu. So you see, the festivals they are coming in between. And if you see the concept of the Chaturmas, many of the festivals will come in this Chaturmas. Why? Just to keep you healthy, just to keep you healthy. So that is the beautiful applied part of the Ritucharya, which I always tell my student to understand that Ritucharya and festivals they have a very close relationship, and it is very scientifically designed. Why this type of ahar is to be administered in this particular time? So very beautiful description of Ritucharya. Now when it comes to Dinacharya, only one point I am going to talk about. So I am not going to talk about this early wake up and all those things. Only you see the brushing of the teeth. Now why? Because as I am associated with research projects, and I am doing means I love to do research projects. So we found when means I had an opportunity to be associated with different systems of medicine people, means dental people, and people from the physiotherapy, nursing, medical college, we were working together. Now, what happens? Because of this integrated working, now we have realized that in case of Prameha, if you see the Purva Rupa of Prameha, the Danta means the plaque formation or the yellow discoloration of the teeth is given as a Purva in the Charak Samhita. Now, what does it mean? Now, in the project which we have taken, when you do the scaling and flossing, when you remove the plaque, when you remove it, so we could see that we have found it that by maintaining the dental hygiene, the HB1AC percentage has gone down by 1%. Now it is just by taking care of your teeth, just by cleaning those teeth. This has been found very well, and it has been established now. You should, so I always do the counseling to the diabetic patient, that, and I have seen all the patients who are coming to me with the diabetes and lifestyle disorders, they are having all such problems. The oral hygiene is not maintained, the Dinacharya, Ritucharya, they have not understood the concept of those. So I always I always give all such kind of treatment to them, because prevention is the most important aspect rather than giving the treatment, and correction, that is the most important thing, and management of SRT access. These are the principles which are practically applicable in your clinical practice. Now, I am going to talk very little about the Trayapastava. These are the factors which are given in the Charak Samhita. Now I would, this would be my bold statement to state that no drug in this world will enhance your immunity. No drug will enhance the immunity. It is this principle which is enumerated by Charak, that is Tarayostamba iti ahara swapna brahmacharya. These are the only factors which can boost up your immunity. So this is with confidence. I am having literature, I am having the research articles based on this. Why this is happening? Just to give an example, just to give. See, what we need is a balanced diet. Shadaras ahar. So whether you are getting Shadaras ahar in your plate, that is the first question which I put to the my patient. So I could realize that they are not getting Shadra Sahar. Nobody is eating Shadra Sahar nowadays. So that has to be included in your diet. That has to be included in your diet. Then the principles of energy dynamics also has to be included in your diet, because what kind of food you are eating, what type of food, what kind of utensils you are eating, even that matters a lot. So I will be giving one example and proof for that also. And sleep, of course, I will be talking some in a little detail about the sleep, because ultimately if you see, the physiological effect of the sleep is very important. And brahmacharya, I am also going to talk about brahmacharya in one slide very shortly. Now just see what is the beautiful thing about the ahar, what type of ahar you are eating, and in what kind of material you are eating ahar. That is the most important thing. Now suppose if you see, even if you go to Kerala now, as on date also, you are going to get the food served in this banana. Now just ignore the figure, because figure is the artificial figure. I am talking about the science behind that. Suppose if you are putting the food which is means the recently cooked, or which is being cooked now, and if you put the hot material on the leaf of the banana, what happens is that because of this heat, large amount of polyphenols, which are the natural antioxidant, they are being absorbed into your food. They are being absorbed into your food, and they have the antibacterial, and the most important that is they have the antioxidant properties. Now if you see that what people they are getting in the medical science, they are getting that the antioxidants, they play very important role, and it has been now proved beyond doubt that there is a role of the antioxidant, and antioxidants, they are very important. So previously the people they were getting this antioxidants from where? From the natural sources. So this is the experiment which was conducted. So just ignore the figure, because in that figure you can see the steel katoris. You ignore that because it is a figure. I told you. Otherwise you will be asking me the same question. Okay? So it is a science, it is not a myth. Then nidra, if you see, what a beautiful means description of nidra, and lot of researches are coming in this, lot of researches. Only one thing, one or two thing I just would like to tell you, that increase physiological activity during the sleep and reduce. So if you see, what are those things which are increased? So if you see the see, for example, the kidney function slows down and production of the urine is decreased. Okay, so this is decreased. The heart rate, breathing rate, blood pressure, this also falls. There are, and for one of the greatest induce is the increase in the release of growth hormone. Means the growth hormone will increase. So there are certain activities, physiological activities, which will go down, but there are certain activities which can come up. So again, if you see, and if you remember the circadian rhythm chart which I have already demonstrated to you, the melatonin phase and that the resting phase, it is a repairing phase. It is a repairing phase, so that then whatever energy expenses can be done on the next day, that can be compacted. So the sleep is the integral part, and the immunity can be maintained if you have a proper sleep. And as you know, nowadays the students, they are not sleeping at proper time. They go to sleep beyond 2, means 2 बजे के बाद वो सोते हैं. What will happen? The phase of the pitta is gone, and now they are entering into the phase of the vata dosha. So just see, you are what you are doing. The circadian or the biological clock is being changed. What I say in Ayurveda, the tridosha clock is being changed. So if you are changing the tridosha clock, if you are changing that reducible clause, definitely the system of SRT will also change, and therefore if you see, the reflection on the health will come, and therefore we are getting heart attacks, all these type of things very common and at very early age. So I have seen heart attack at the age of 24, massive heart attack at the age of 24. So see, this is something which we were not expecting actually, but I have seen, you must have seen definitely. So all those things are increasing because all those things we are disturbing. So please take this very seriously. Then what is brahmacharya? Then again we have different opinion about this brahmacharya. So I don't say that, I say that brahmacharya's ideal regime. It is not related to anything celibacy, practice of sex and all those things. These two things, they are only one part of that, but not the brahmacharya. The word brahmacharya is a very broad term. And what are the brahmacharya rules? See, this is for just for understanding that brahmacharya shabdena indriya sanyam saumanasya prabhutayo brahma jnanam anuguna gurudhyate. This is the commentary of the Chakrapani. So I am not here to tell all those things. But what I am trying to tell, indriya sanyam. Now, why I am telling you the indriya sanyam? Why? Because if we are doing the indriya sanyam, definitely the pituitary hypophyseal axis or SRT axis for that matter, this can be controlled, and if this can be controlled, the energy of the governing molecule, that is the molecules which will manifest this in the form of that karya means effect. So the effect will be there on vata pitta kapha. So it has to be governed by sattva raja and tam, and then the effect will be absorbed on vata pitta kapha. If the effect is positive, definitely the organs which are supplemented with this vata pitta kapha will get the positive signaling, and thereby the function will improve, and vice versa. If the things go in another way, then it will be then the functions will be either there will be hyperfunction or there will be hypofunction. So these two things will happen, and these are prevailing in this society. So in one slide, what about this dharniya and adharniya age? Again, if you see, again this brings, if you very minutely observe these things, and I would suggest that there is an imbalance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic activity. So suppose if you are withholding the urges which are not to be withheld, adharniya वेगों का धारण करेंगे, what will happen? The balance between parasympathetic and sympathetic will go off, and over sympathetic activity is going to create problems for your body, and that is the reason why the persons, they are getting atherosclerosis, ischemic heart disease at a very early age. Why the problems of arthritis they are coming? Why the problem of cancer is very common nowadays? It is just because that these are the simplest of simple things which we are not doing, and which we think that this has no importance. And because in our case, in this case, when we do the counseling for the patient, we take utmost care of these factors, whether that particular subject is indulge in any such type of activities or not. So this is one of the important things which we must understand as far as uh, I am concerned. So these things, they are to be taken care of, and counseling is to be done for this, because this is also one of the important area. And what I suggest is that you should put a chart of this in your OPD, in your chamber, so that these things can be understood. You should teach the patient also, because that is one of the thing which is also one of the most important. It is not important for you to give the medicine. It is important for you to understand the patient first. And that is the most important thing which I propose through Charak Samhita. Now, sanskar. Why this sanskar? Because in that basic principles, the sanskar is also given, described in the Charak Samhita. Why this sanskar we are doing? Garbhadan sanskar, Poonsavan sanskar. Why? This is just to infuse a positive attitude into the mind. This is just an infusion of the positive attitude. Unless and until you infuse positive attitude, this will not go. So that is the most important thing which we need to understand. So sanskar means imposition of the positive attitude at a periodic time, so that you must be hammered with the positive things, and the things will go in a proper way. So that is the thing why sanskar is also very important. As Charak says, in the principles also, the sanskar is also very important. And this sanskar will bring the positive attitude in you. So it is a infusion. Many times, means just in a lighter words, I just want to say that the people, the OPD, many of the practitioners have seen that they are giving the IV infusions. I'm not onto the reasons why they are giving, and I would not say that they are doing anything wrong. No, absolutely not. So I'm not saying like that. I just want to say that this type of infusion is to be also given. That is a physical infusion you are giving, but this is also mental infusion, sensual infusion. The infusion related to the psychic is also to be given. It is very important for you to fed. For Atma, we cannot do anything. So for Atma, there is nothing. Okay. Then, very important concept of Charak Samhita is moksha, Brahma Gyan, TM or Vihar, whatever it can. There are many terms which are used. Now, if you see the Katida Purushi Adhyaya, if you see the Adhyaya, fifth Adhyaya of the Sharirasthan, that is the Mokshopai. Now, these are the wonderful things that are described, wonderful things. There means you cannot imagine what things Charak has given and at what level he has thought of. And I really don't understand. In those days when the basic discoveries of the electricity, no science, no technology was there, in spite of that, this is the literature which is available and which I find relevance. And therefore I say that Charak, what is the relevance of this Charak Samhita in the modern era? It is just like that. So Ashtanga Yoga, why it is important? Now again the same thing. It is maintaining the hypothalamus pituitary axis. I call this as again many times I am repeating the same word just to infuse all those things inside the minds of the new students who are going to become the practitioners tomorrow. So why I am infusing this? So why this asana, sthira sukham asanam? So I really don't understand. When I just ask my students where you are going, sir, हम yoga classes जा रहे हैं. How can you? Who is that teacher who can teach you yoga? योगस्तु चित्त वृत्ति निरोधा. आप कैसे पता? ये कैसे सिखा सकते हैं आप? Asana is a different thing, but you are comparing that with yoga. It cannot be. Yoga is a very much higher thing. Bahiranga and Antaranga, we have already divided this into two parts. So asana cannot be performed unless and until you are stable. Sthira sukham asana. So when you are not sthir, how you are going to perform the asana? And asana means it is the relaxation of the involuntary muscles rather than the voluntary muscles. In gym we are doing the exercise, and when we are doing the exercise in gym, we are actually doing the means actually the muscles of the body, they are being hypertrophied. So I don't say that these things are wrong, no, because 150 minutes in a week is recommended by a research. It is highly recommended that you should do at least 150 minutes of your time in a week for exercise. And this is the internal exercise wherein you are going to bring the system to the normalcy, and then you are managing the energies. So this is therefore it is called. So just one example. What is Vedant, which is being proposed by Shankaracharya? Veda Ant means when there is a end of Ved. What is Ved? Ved is a Gyan. जहां ज्ञान समाप्त हो जाता है, where the knowledge ends, उसके बाद कोई नॉलेज जानने की जरूरत नहीं. दैट इज वेद एंड दैट इज अद्वैत, है ना. ब्रह्म सत्य जगत मिथ्या. So he says that the Brahma is Nitya, and that is what, therefore I say this moksha, why Charak is enumerating that moksha is to be achieved, why liberation is very necessary. So these you need to understand. This darshan which are there in the first year of the study, that has to be contemplated in the great way. So that is the thing which we need to understand. Now what yoga, again I am not going to describe this. It is an important tool. It is important tool. It is to balance these three doshas. It is to balance these three doshas. Okay. So if you see again the why I am talking that hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and the sympathetic nervous system. See, this is the conclusion of the research paper which was published. Whatever thing I am telling you, it is based on the research paper I have drawn this conclusion. So reducing stress, increasing parasympathetic activity. Till now I was telling you that there is a increase of sympathetic activity. Now because of this yoga, there is an increase in parasympathetic activity, decreasing the blood pressure, improving sense of well-being, decreasing anxiety levels, and the most important thing which I was telling you in every slide, that is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and the sympathetic nervous system. It has to go down. See the down regulation of this. The yoga has that ability to do that. So when I am teaching my students the Sankhya Darshan, as we have seen, there are pairs. Sankhya Darshan pairs with the Yoga Darshan. So Sankhya does not believe in Ishwar. Yoga believes in Ishwar. So whatever thing is enumerated in the Sankhya Darshan, the practical way of attending those things is being enumerated in the Yoga Darshan. That is the beautiful thing which we are doing. And the world is running after this yoga like anything. So just see all those things we have. But unfortunately we were not able to present those things. And now as and when we are present, it is very unfortunate. You are believing yoga and you are not believing योग. It is not yoga, it is योग. भारत में योग था, जब योगा बन के आया तब हम लोग विश्वास करने लगे कि योगा है. आयुर्वेद भारत में था, लेकिन अब आयुर्वेदा बन के जो भारत में आ रहा है तो हम बिलीव कर रहे हैं कि आयुर्वेदा है. दिस इज वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट. ठीक है. And the beautiful thing, as I've told in my practice, I will never leave any patient without giving any type of rasayan. Rasayan therapy is must in case of non-communicable diseases. दीर्घमायु स्मृति मेधा आरोग्यम तरुणवयः प्रभावर्ण स्वरादर देह इंद्रिय बलम परम वाक सिद्धि प्रणति कांति लभते ना रसायनात् लाभोपायो हि शस्तानाम रसादीनाम रसा. Very beautiful. These 12 factors are very, very important, and what we need is these 12 factors. And what is that? Because of the radicals, free radicals, the cells, they are dying. Because of the free radicals, there is means the chain of the destruction starts, and because of the chain of the destruction starts, the body loses its vital organs, and thereby creating devastating effects in the physical body. So this is the most important thing which I practice, and I request all the students that they should also do the same thing. Now the most important thing is that out of this, the most important another point which is described in Ayurveda, but unfortunately it is not being practiced in most of the areas, that is Daiva Vapashra Chikitsa. So when Charak has given the sequence, Daiva Vapashra Chikitsa, Yukti Vapashra Chikitsa and Satvavjaya Chikitsa. So all those three components if you do, now if these three components are being taken care of, then only the complete treatment is done. But what happens is 99% of the cases I have observed, only you are focusing on Yukti Vapashra Chikitsa. What about Satvavjaya Chikitsa and what about the Daiva Vapashra Chikitsa? So in case of the, I have seen the many super duper consultants, they only concentrate on Yukti Vapashra Chikitsa. And when the patient tries to ask any question to him, what answer he get? See, I have studied this medical science from past 20 years, I am practicing. And till date I have not understood, and you are asking me what is the mechanism. मतलब ये सिर्फ टालने के लिए वो कह देते हैं, and they don't give any explanation. They don't answer any patient's question. पेशेंट सबसे ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन आयुर्वेद वाले के पास ही करता है, उसको वहाँ से आंसर मिलता ही नहीं. उसको यही बोला जाता है ये ट्रीटमेंट है, आपको ये लेना है, बाकी बातें हमसे नहीं करना. ये मैं आपको बड़े जिम्मेदारी के साथ कह रहा हूँ, जो मेरा अनुभव है वो बता रहा हूँ, प्रैक्टिकल बात बता रहा हूँ. एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स आर गिवन इन आयुर्वेदा. So why not to involve all such things? So we are doing, and I can tell you, one of the leading cardiologist in Gujarat, Dr. Anil Jha sir, he is a cardiac surgeon. So whenever he is performing the surgery, गायत्री मंत्र का वो जाप करते हैं. उनके यहाँ वो सेटअप में, उनके IPD में वो सारी व्यवस्थाएं हैं, गायत्री मंत्र का जाप होता है. And he has proved, and he tells us that the duration of stay in his hospital has been reduced to from 100% to 60 to 70%, means 40% reduction हो गया stay का. See the economical benefit of the out of that, and see the opportunistic infection उसके होने के chances भी कम हो गए, because the duration of stay has been reduced. This is the magic effect of the mantra. And why I am using this mantra? Because in Charak Chikitsa Adhyay 23, mantra is the first modality of treatment in Vish Chikitsa. If you remember in the slide number 3 or 4, I have already told you that poisoning constitute 94% in other causes. और आज भी ये चीजों को देखने मिलता है. So why not to bring all such things in your practice? And see how Ayurveda is open. The Upanishad, the Vedas says, Ano Bhaktra Karto Yantu Vishwata. So every thought from the universe is welcome. We are open. The Charva is our best mentor to guide on the medicines. The very open statement of the Charak Samhita. Means Charva is also our teacher. He is also our mentor. And the noble thought can come from anywhere. This Rigved, this is a very beautiful statement which is given. And last but not least, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadranu Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. At the end, I would like to express my sincere thanks to RAV for giving me this opportunity to be with you. I think I have not taken, the time is 16:50. I was keeping watch with me. I think I have not exceeded much of the time. It is 1 hour. It is more than 1 hour actually.
Yes, sir.
It's, so yes. Sorry for that.
No,
and
no.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for beautifully explaining the relevance of ancient concepts which are mentioned in our treatises. And truly, it was very informative and very knowledgeable session for all of us. Now it's time for question and answer session. Those having any question, they can please ask. अगर किसी तरह के डाउट्स आपके मन में आप पूछ सकते हैं या अपने व्यूज भी शेयर कर सकते हैं. All are welcome. Any questions? You can raise your hands as well. Any questions from participants? They can ask. I think there are no questions, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for a truly wonderful session by you. Now to extend a formal vote of thanks, I would like to request Dr. Meenakshi Jaiswal, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor for me to have the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on the 109th webinar of Gyan Ganga, a voyage of knowledge, a webinar series organized by Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapeeth. On behalf of organizing committee, I want to express my gratitude to our respected and renowned speaker, Dr. Bharat Chauragade sir, for his knowledgeable explanation on the topic, relevance of Charak Samhita in modern era. It was my privilege to have benefits of your knowledge at Mahatma Gandhi Ayurveda College, TMIMS, DU, Wardha, Maharashtra, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your detailed discussion on this topic. I would like to thank wholeheartedly respected Padma Bhushan Vaidya Shri Devendra Triguraji, President Governing Body RAV, for his blessings and continuous encouragement. I express my humble thanks to Vaidya Manoj Nesri sir, Advisor Ayurveda, Ministry of Ayush, for providing us his immense support and guidance. We are highly obliged to you, sir. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Kaustubh Upadhyay, sir, Advisor Ayurveda, and also holding charge as Director RAV, for his guidance and motivation. I thank him for his valuable contribution and encouragement in all our efforts. I offer my sincere acknowledgement to the organizing team of RAV and the volunteers who worked behind the scene for their tremendous effort to make this webinar series a great success. I'm also grateful to all the respected Gurujans and participants who are connecting with us continuously throughout the series in spite of their busy schedule. Thank you. Thank you so much to all. I would like to inform that that topic and speaker for the next webinar will be shared with you very soon. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Jai Hind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.